Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching-En.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road
and get started. Hello and welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers. In our previous episode, we were joined by Benjamin Sabbah, Director of the Journalism Trust Initiative at Reporters Without Borders. He talked about how the organization is working to build public trust in the news and the initiative they've launched to certify the trustworthiness of media outlets worldwide. In the next part of our conversation, Director Sabbah will share one of his most memorable moments from his career in the media industry, along with some valuable advice for those aspiring to become journalists.
I think listening to what JTI is, for me, it sounds that this is a very important certification. As what you mentioned earlier, we're entering into a world that's completely uncharted, what with misinformation, disinformation, and AI, including deepfake. As a regular person, it's very hard to distinguish what's real and what's not with all the barrage of information that you're getting, including the news sometimes, because even the news is slanted. So I believe knowing that somebody is reliably presenting the news, having that certification, being audited by outsiders, and it's not just a organization itself that says, you can trust us. I think that's very, very important. And I think in the Taiwan landscape, one of the things that I also found interesting was for the World Freedom Index, it actually quoted a study by Reuters in 2022 saying that Taiwanese have one of the lowest levels of trust in media among democracies. And it scored the last place in the Asia-Pacific region with only 28% trust rate. And I think that ties very well into what you're saying about having a reliable media source and knowing that you can actually trust that the media is providing news that is reliable and unbiased. And it follows professional journalism standards, in short. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I would say that as citizens, we are being, let's say, forced into being our own journalists. And I think it's not on them, it's not on the citizens to become journalists. There is a profession, there are standards, we know how we operate, but yeah, on the digital space, it's becoming harder and harder, even for journalists, which are trained onto fact-checking, double sourcing, etc., to understand what's wrong and what's not. What's true. And I must say that myself, when I see a video now, a piece of text or photo, I must ask to myself, is that true or not? And with deepfakes, it's all over. Even the faces of very well-known people, you need to doubt. And I think that it's the journalist's job to doubt what it is and then to check. We can't ask that, and we can't require that from any citizen. It's not their job at all. So I would say that platforms have a major responsibility into this. Now they are creating also the AI tools to produce AI-generated content. So they have a major responsibility on how the news circulate and how misinformation and fake news are circulating onto their own platform. And sometimes they also participate in creating this fake news content. So we need to be very careful, and I think we need to be very demanding towards them, because why this burden is falling on us as citizens. It's not normal at all, and it's every day now. Regarding this I would say, question of Taiwan and Asia in particular, from what I understand, the media landscape have not changed dramatically from one year to another in Taiwan. It's mostly because the press freedom has dropped in so many other countries that Taiwan ranking has improved, which we can take as a good news also, because in fact it didn't drop in Taiwan, which is already I would say good news.
Yes.
But yeah, the news landscape regarding political attacks is moving forward very, very fast. And I would say that political climate is very polarized. And when you read a media which does not go your way, you tend to think that it's entirely fake. I think we need to state that very often things are complex. I think that we need to state that facts needs to be revealed, and for that they need to be explored and worked on in their complexity. The strategy of propagandists is to raise this notion of complexity, to feed the people with their own opinions in order to fuel that polarization and create breach in our society. So we need to recreate dialogue. I think that the strategy of propagandists is to create a breach within dialogue, to make it impossible, to erase the mere possibility to have a dialogue within the society. And in fact, I think that journalism is key to create this dialogue, this exchange, because what we need to build on are facts. And facts, they are true or they are not.
We are shifting our conversation to a more personal level. So our show, Formosa Dream Chasers, celebrates people striving to achieve their dreams, whether in their careers or personal lives, and every journey has its defining moments. So with so many years of experience in media industry and through your work with RSF, could you share one experience that deeply resonated with you or that strengthened your passion for press freedom?
I'm in the news for almost 20 years, so there are several moments, but I would say that one, and I'm trying not to get emotional about this, but I've started my career at Agence France Presse, and I was in the marketing and working on the pricing strategy. So, it's a bit cold as a material regarding journalism, but I was so glad to be here at the core of the global news one of the leading news agency worldwide. So I was in there, I was participating to it, and even if it's not the most, let's say, human-fleshed resources that we had in the agency, working on the pricing strategy was something important to me because, you do need resources to carry on building and operating the news. But I was a bit far from the newsroom. I was invited also to the news conference every morning, but still it's very far and it keeps a bit theoretical. So once, in fact, after working on the pricing, I worked for the photo department. I kept on working on pricing, but I was also working on the photo output. And that was super interesting. And I had the chance to be invited to Visa pour l'Image, which is an international festival happening every year in September on photojournalism. And let's say that war coverage is an essential part of what's happening out there. And one evening I was having dinner with Masoud Hosseini, who was awarded Pulitzer and the Visa d'Or this year. And there is a photo that I really invite your auditors to go and find on the web. This photo of Masoud, I think it was in 2012. And it's happening in Kabul, Afghanistan. And you see a little girl shouting. Please have a look at this photo, you will understand. And it explained to me how we took it. I won't get into the details because then I'm surely getting more emotional. But just be aware that in fact he was himself the victim of that second explosion, which was the main strategy of the Taliban in Kabul to make a first one so that the journalists and the emergency services and the police go there, and then they make the second, which is a bigger one. So he was also the victim of this second explosion. And in fact, I don't know, maybe not even a second before he shot it, he was knocked out. Mm-hmm. He was absolutely knocked out. He had a burden in his ear, and in fact, even through that burden in his ear, he heard that voice of that little girl, and he shot it. Please, find it.
That's the power of journalism.
Yeah, in fact, this is how I understood directly with this conversation that when you are a photographer, you are on the field. You are exposing your own life when you are in Kabul and in so many other cities or places in the world. You can't you can't avoid the risk. You are there, and this is the only way to cover the news. And it's the same for video journalists and sometimes also for tech journalists.
I think that also just underscores why it is important to protect journalists, because they are serving a greater good. They are reporting what's happening on the ground, and they are providing facts to what is happening around the world, especially in areas of the world that is very far from us, so that we have a greater grasp of what's happening, not only in our little sphere of where we are, but as a greater community, if I may say so, like as human beings as a whole, if I may say that.
I can only second this point of view, of course.
So, seeing how journalists work and what they do, and the importance of having a trustworthy and reliable news outlet, news system. Although you share that you're not necessarily a journalist yourself, you have been in the news industry and you have been in the media industry, and you have amazing depth and knowledge about how this industry runs. If we may tap into your experience, what advice would you give to those who are either aspiring to be journalists or those who are interested in working in the media industry, and or for somebody who wants to be part of RSF?
Well, first, thank you for your warm words. I hope I deserve it. I don't know. But I would say that my first advice is be curious. Always be curious. Then I would say be humble. So I would say that the first one is be curious, always. The second is be humble. And then the third is, let's say, the synergy of the two. Question yourself all the time. Don't take anything for granted.
And due to the tiny limits of our program, so before we wrap up this interview, is there anything you didn't share but you would like to tell our audience?
Yeah.
Anything else that not included in our questions?
I would say that to your audience, carry on listening or reading or watching the news. That's important, because if you don't care about reliable news, fake news will take care of you.
Ooh, that is true. That is very true. Thank you, Director Sabbah, for your time. We know that your stay here in Taiwan is super short this time around. We hope that you get the chance to come and visit again. And again, thank you so much for your time.
No, thanks to you. I hope I will have the chance to come back to you also.
Yeah.
So, Marianne, Ching-hen, it was very nice to have this discussion with you today.
We hope to hear from you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the end of our interview with Director Benjamin Sabbah. On February 27 this year, Reporters Without Borders hosted a workshop at the 2025 RightsCon Summit titled How to Restore a Safer News Landscape in Digital Age, the Journalism Trust Initiative case. Vice President of Radio Taiwan International, Isis Lee, joined their discussion to elaborate on RTI's role in Taiwan, the reason RTI decided to join the certification process of the Journalism Trust Initiative, and the effect it intended to have on the public's perception of RTI. Here's what she has to say at the workshop.
And we're really honored that we are just certified JTI just a few days ago and being the first media outlet in the Chinese-speaking world being certified this. And to begin with sharing the values that we found from JTI, I would like to start sharing with you about our unique position in the media landscape in Taiwan. First of all, RTI is actually a national public broadcaster of Taiwan that we broadcast to not just the Chinese-speaking society. We speak to global Chinese-speaking society like Chinese diaspora or Hong Kong diaspora and around the world. And in addition to our Chinese content, we also produce 16 foreign language content for our global audiences around the world. And we started around a century ago. We started with shortwave, which is a very old technique, but which is still very powerful and very important in this region. Because in our neighboring countries, there are still a lot of places without free internet access to information. So that is why we still have this shortwave service in this region of the world. So we visited RSF actually in November 2023, and that's the first time we heard about JTI. And actually, right after we came to Taiwan, we started doing it. We made a decision very quickly because we thought this is exactly what we need. We need something that it's certified by the European Union, and it's easier for us to tell our audiences all around the world that this is an international standard. We have met this standard. And also I would like to talk about two more values. One is the value of JTI for our audiences, because when we were trying to fill out all these 130 criteria, it's really, really a lot. We were like, okay, this is like a health checkup actually. But these criteria actually, it's also like a tool for media literacy, because these principles are all the core principles, to be examined when audiences are reaching out to information. These are actually core things to think about when doing media literacy. So we think it's good that JTI is actually doing media literacy in advance for the audiences. And another thing is that for our newsroom, we actually found it really beneficial. And this is actually the positive response that I got from our newsroom. Because in the very beginning when we introduced this to RTI, we thought that, our newsroom is probably not going to like it. It's 130 criteria. It sounds like a lot of work, and there's external auditor as well. But actually within this process, the feedback from our newsroom is that they think that they have learned a lot, because it's like a health check to reflect again, like what we have done. We have done a lot of principles and a lot of guidelines. Are they efficient enough? Are they up to date? Are they good enough? So for them, they think, well, it's actually a really good time to review what we have done. So they really appreciate it in the end. And now we are able to tell our audience proudly that we have met this international standard, and here is our content for you to trust for another century. So this is how we feel about JTI.
Media trust and transparency have become increasingly critical in the face of rising authoritarian propaganda that seeks to undermine global democracies. As a public media outlet, Radio Taiwan International remains committed to delivering accurate and factual information to our audience. Through our interview with director Benjamin Sabbah, we aim to shed light on the challenges the media faces today. Thank you for tuning in to Formosa Dream Chasers. See you next time. This is Ching and Cho.
And Mary Ann Shoko.
See you guys next week. Bye.
You're tuning in to Radio Taiwan International, Taiwan's national broadcaster. Here at RTI, we have a range of entertaining and informative content for you to enjoy. You can find all of our content on our website at en.rti.org.tw. That's en.rti.org.tw for news, shows, and more. We're also on shortwave radio. If you're residing in South Asia, we broadcast from 1600 to 1700 UTC at 9405 kHz. From all of us here at RTI, we wish you a lovely day.
Listen! Are you listening? This is the sound of my country. This is the sound of Taiwan.
Taiwan, a small island with a whole world of sounds.